Okay, so we're going to find the missing side here in this triangle, and we're going to use trigonometry to do it. All right, so what we learned in class, there's a set procedure that we're going to run through, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to label the sides. All right, I'll label the sides. I'll just change my colour here. Okay, so here's a triangle we've got. We've got this, the hypotenuse is 58, so I'm just going to label that as H. That's the hypotenuse. Here's our angle down here, 25 degrees that we've got. Remember, we're dealing with right angle triangles, so we've always got a 90-degree angle there. We don't really use that. We need another angle, all right? So this angle here, 25 degrees, I'm going to call that theta, the angle in question. And what else do we have? Well, the side that we want to find here, which is marked as H, we need to determine what side that is in relation to our angle. Now you'll see that is the side that's opposite that angle. All right, so H is our opposite side. I might just label that op, I'll label that hype. And there we go. So we've labelled the information that we've got. That's step one. Now let's do step two. So step two, in step two we list the information we've got available to us. All right, so I know that theta is 25 degrees. I know that my opposite side is H, and that's the thing that we're trying to find. My hypotenuse is 58 metres. So that's the info I've got. I also have a right angle, but I'm just assuming that we've got that. Step three, which ratio can we use? All right, now we've got three ratios to work with. One involves the opposite and the adjacent, one involves the opposite and the hypotenuse, and one involves the adjacent and the hypotenuse. And a good way of determining which ratio to use is with this little mnemonic, SOHCAHTOA. If you can remember that word, SOHCAHTOA, and how to spell it, then you won't have any problem in remembering what the ratios are. So S for sine, opposite over hypotenuse, O over H. Cosine, C, adjacent over hypotenuse. T, tangent, tan, opposite over adjacent. All right, so looking at what we've got in step two, the sides that we're dealing with here are our opposite and our hypotenuse. And so the ratio that involves the opposite and the hypotenuse is sine, the sine ratio. Okay, so I'm going to write out the definition of the sine ratio, which is sine theta equals opposite on hypotenuse. Okay, that's step three. We've determined the ratio that we're going to work with. Step four, use this ratio and our information to write an equation. So in step three, we've got the ratio. What we're going to do in step four, we're going to add the information in from part two. See, we know that theta is 25 degrees. So in the place of theta there, I'm going to write 25, sine 25 degrees is equal to op. Well, what's op? Op is H. That's the thing that we're trying to find. So I'm going to replace op with H, and underneath that, hype, the hypotenuse. Well, the hypotenuse is 58. So I'll replace that with 58. Now what that does is it gives us a little formula, or a little equation that we've got to solve. And that's what we do in step 5. So sine 25, if you do sine 25 on your calculator, and I'll just get a calculator and do it with. Let's calculator. Okay, so sine 25 degrees is equal to about 0.4. So this is like having an equation 0.4 equals h on 58. So think of sine 25, it's just a number, it's a ratio, it's a number. And do it on your calculator and you'll see it's about 0.422618. And so what are we trying to do in step 5? We're trying to work out this side, h. And we saw from the example we did in class that if you want to find out what h is and you've got h divided by 58, then we can undo that dividing of 58 by multiplying by 58. So we're going to multiply both sides here by 58. So I'll just write that equation again, h equals 58. I'm putting the h on 58 first because it's h that we're trying to work out here. H on 58 equals sine 25 degrees. Okay, so if I want to work out h, and I've got h divided by 58, then I have to undo that division by multiplying. So we're going to multiply both sides here by 58. And that's going to give me h equals, well, the divided by the left-hand side here, the dividing by 58 and the multiplying by 58, they will just cancel out and leave me with h. That's what I'm after. And on the right-hand side, we're going to have sine 25 times 58. So I'll put that up front. 58 sine 25 degrees. Okay? And then really there's just one last step here, and that is to plug that into my calculator. And that gives us 24.5 to 1 decimal place. Okay? So what that tells us is that in our triangle here, coming back to the triangle, if we had a right angle triangle with this information, if that was 25 degrees, if the hypotenuse was 58 metres, there is only one value that h can be, and that's 24.5. Nothing else. Okay? And this is the power of trigonometry. Okay? You've got some information about a triangle. If you've got a little bit of information about a triangle, you can work out all the information about the triangle using these trigonometric ratios. Okay, so that's the process. 5 steps. So we'll now turn our attention to finding angles. That's in the next video.